Hello everyone, and of course, at the end of a big day, there should be my bedtime story. Today's bedtime story is about Pembral. Pembral forgets everything, but he was a good boy. Pembral was a good boy, indeed, yeah, but he was always forgetting things. Big things, small things, important things, little things. It didn't really matter. He would forget something, whatever it was, at one time or another. His mother was a patient woman, which was a good thing. Pembral regularly tested her patience. She learned early on to remind him of everything, big things, small things, important things, even the little things. Once in a while, the little things that didn't seem important at the time became more important later. Sometimes she thought that Pembral forgot things on purpose. Things like washing behind his ears, or picking up his toys, or feeding the dog. It bothered her to remind him of these sort of things. However, for the most part, she knew that his mind was just wandering off, and it was her job to bring it back to pay attention and think for a moment about where he was, and what he was about to do, and why he was doing it. For Pete's sake, Pembral, she would often exclaim when he would have forgotten something. Pembral was never really certain who Pete was or why Pete's name was called upon. But he knew that if he had done something, or more likely not done something, he was in trouble. Whenever Pete's name was called. And sometimes she'd complain. Pembral, I swear you would forget your head if it wasn't connected to your shoulders. Fall weather had arrived. The air was cool and crisp, especially in the morning, even if the skies were brilliant blue and the sun was shining brightly. The light of the morning made wisps of fog come up from the ponds, and frost on the grass sparkled before it melted under the sun's steady gaze. The trees were swapping their summer greens for coats of brilliant yellow and orange and red. This was a time when Pembral mother cooked things that smelled and tasted really good. He usually never really paid much attention to his food, and sometimes had to be told not to play with it at our table. But it seemed like he was just hungry in the fall or something, and he liked how the windows steamed up and how the kitchen smells filled up the whole house when his mother was cooking up something good at the time of the year. Pembral's mother was baking something special that day. A carrot cake. It was one of Pembral's favorites. She said that they needed it for Pembral's school that night. A cakewalk, she said. But she needed some things from the store, and sent Pembral to get them. I need eggs, sugar, and raisins, she said. She gave him a list so he wouldn't forget. He put it in his pants pocket. Here's some money, she went on. Put it in your pocket where you won't lose it. Pembral pushed the money into his pocket with the list and headed toward the door. Don't forget your coat, his mother said. Don't forget your scarf, she added. And don't forget your hat and gloves, she hollered as he headed on the front door. Pembral didn't forget any of these things. He went outside and down the street, kicking dry leaves on the sidewalk into the air and breathing in their smell and watching the squirrels play tag. When he got to the store, he picked up a basket and went about shopping. He found the sugar and put it in a basket. It was heavy. He found the raisins, and it reminded him of how good the cake would taste. Pleased with himself, he went to the front of the store, where he put the sugar and raisins on the counter. The store clerk told him how much they cost, and he gave her the money he had been given. He didn't notice when the list that his mother had given him fell to the floor as he pulled the money from his pocket. He would forgotten all about the list, thinking of the raisins and the carrot cake. Taking the bag that the grocer gave him, Pembral slowly made his way home, passing through the park where the leaves were piled deeper, and he could make more noises kicking him. He spotted some leaves that were really big and brilliant in their colors, and picked them up to give to his mother. "There you are," Pembral's mother said when he entered their kitchen. It was beginning to be worried. Pembral put the bag on the counter. He was reaching into his pocket for the change when his mother said, "Where are the eggs?" Pembral stopped. His heart pounded. Eggs! He forgot the eggs! He looked at his mother and then the bag and then said meekly, "I'm sorry, Mama. I forgot." His mother was unhappy. "You forgot the eggs. What happened to your list?" "I don't know," Pembral mumbled. He reached into his pocket, but the list was gone. "I must have lost it." "For Pete's sake, Pembral," she said. Then she added, "I swear." And Pembral thought that just that she might, although she never did. "What I'm going to do with you," she said as she grabbed keys from her purse and hurried out the door. Pembral climbed the stairs up to his bedroom slowly, his head hanging. He wished he knew he would have forgotten the eggs. What happened to the list? He knew that he had disappointed his mother. He didn't get to share his leaves with her. He lay down on his bed, where the sunlight was streaming through the window. He felt his head nodding after a bit, and he looked out the window. To his surprise, he saw a young boy playing in his yard. The boy was dashing about kicking up leaves, just as he had earlier that day. Why was he playing in Pembral's yard? Looking more closely, he realized that the boy was just dressed as him. And suddenly he saw in amazement that the boy had no hat. Astonished, he jumped up, or he tried to, but he could not. Looking down, he realized he had no body. Only his head was on the pillow on his bed. His body was outside, playing. "Help!" he cried. "Help!" But his lips hardly moved. A low moan barely escaped from his lips. Somehow he managed to get up and run outside, but had forgotten his hat. Concentrating with all his might, he told his body to get back inside. Come here," he thought with his strongest thoughts. His body ran around in circles, kicking leaves. No, come here now," he willed with all his strength. His body hesitated, then stopped. Then slowly, oh so slowly, his body turned and came into the house. He heard it clumping up the stairs to his bedroom. When his body came to the bed, he looked at where his head was supposed to be connected, but he got dizzy and for a moment couldn't see anything. Then, as if by magic, there he was, sitting up in bed, completely connected. He heard the car door slam, and then the house door, and he ran downstairs. He was going to share his excitement of what just happened when he saw the stern look on his mother's face. She was still upset. He forgot all about his story and hung his head again. I'm sorry, Mama, he said again. I don't know what happened. I just forgot. I was kicking the leaves and watching the squirrels, and just then he ran at the colorful leaves that he had gathered and ran over them. Picking them up, he handed them to her. Here, Mama, he continued. I found these and brought them for you. Pembral watches his warmth and the smile spread on her face. Oh, Pembral, she said with a sigh. They are beautiful. She gazed at them for a moment and then said, Come here. He went to her and she gave him a big hug. I swear, Pembral, what I'm going to do with you. Thank you, she paused. They're beautiful, she said again. Come on, help me bake this cake. I will let you lick the beaters when we're done. And Pembral didn't tell her about this head and body, which made her laugh and laugh as the kitchen smells began to fill up the house, just as it always did. The end. So, Pembral forgets everything, this time his head. I know nobody of you would ever forget your head. You might forget sometimes little things, like keys, or something to write, or maybe just some clothes. Even I forget sometimes something. Biggest adventure when I was forgetting something was at the mountains when I was in my school. We were on a ski tour. 25 children. We were all together at lunchtime, and I saw a scarf just on a seat where I thought a friend of mine was sitting. I was like, is this his scarf? And I was the last one in the room, so I just took it and left. We drove down. We were skiing all the way down to the base station, where the bus were waiting for us. And there just went asking the bus, did anybody leave his scarf? And I was like, wait a minute. I'm so stupid, this was my scarf. I just forgot that I had a scarf. Some of them laughed, and I was like, yep, I forgot that I had a scarf. So don't worry if you forget sometimes something. That's just in our nature. But don't forget to sleep and dream wonderful dreams. Good night.